Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, A Day of Doing Nothing, Boy's Perfect Little World. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. Boy woke up before the sun, not because he had somewhere to go, but because the morning had arrived politely and tapped on his nose. The room was quiet, wrapped in the soft blue light that only exists for a few minutes each day. Boy did not rush. He never rushed. He opened one eye, then the other, and decided that the world could wait a little longer. He stretched slowly, his paws reaching forward as if he were trying to hug the air itself. His tail wagged once, just once, to confirm that yes, today was going to be a good day. Then he flopped back down with a satisfied sigh. This was a day of doing nothing, and Boy took that responsibility very seriously. From his spot on the floor, he could hear familiar sounds. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant noise of a motorbike outside, and the gentle breathing of his human still half asleep. These sounds formed the background music of his life. To Boy, they were comforting, like an old song that never needed changing. Eventually, Boy lifted his head and looked at his human. He didn't bark. He didn't demand breakfast. He simply watched. Watching was one of his favorite activities. When his human moved, Boy's ears twitched. When his human smiled sleepily and whispered, "Good morning, Boy," his tail began to wag again, this time with more enthusiasm. Breakfast came, but slowly. Boy followed his human into the kitchen, not because he was hungry, though he was, but because walking together felt right. He sat patiently while the bowl was filled, his eyes shining as if this simple moment were the highlight of his day. When the food was finally placed on the floor, he sniffed it carefully, as if thanking it for existing, before eating at a relaxed pace. After breakfast, Boy did not ask for a walk. He did not bring a toy. He simply returned to the living room and lay down in a patch of sunlight. The sun warmed his fur, and he closed his eyes again. Doing nothing, he believed, was an art. And today, he was going to be very good at it. The afternoon arrived quietly, without announcements. Boy noticed it not by the clock, but by the way the sunlight shifted across the floor. The warm patch moved, and Boy moved with it, adjusting his position like a sunflower that followed the light. This took effort, of course, and afterward he needed another rest. From time to time, he opened his eyes to check on his human. His human worked at a desk, fingers tapping softly on a keyboard. Boy didn't understand what the work was for, but he understood something more important. His human was there. That was enough. A gentle breeze came through the window, carrying the smells of the outside world, dust, leaves, food from a nearby house. Boy lifted his nose and sniffed deeply. Each smell told a story. Somewhere, another dog had passed by. Somewhere, a cat had jumped over a fence. Somewhere, life was happening quickly. Boy decided he was happy not being part of the hurry. At one point, his human stood up and walked to the kitchen. Boy followed, not urgently, just in case. He sat near the doorway while his human poured water and stretched. When his human reached down to scratch behind his ears, Boy leaned into the touch with his whole body, eyes half closed. These moments, small and quiet, felt bigger to him than any game of fetch. Later, Boy found his favorite toy, a soft, slightly torn plush animal. He didn't play with it. He carried it carefully to the sofa and placed it beside him, as if it were a companion. Then he rested his chin on it and watched the room. The toy smelled like comfort and old memories. It had been with him on many days like this, days without plans, days full of peace. As the afternoon grew warmer, Boy drank some water and returned to his spot on the floor. He dreamed lightly, paws twitching now and then. In his dreams, nothing dramatic happened. He dreamed of walking slowly, of sitting beside his human, of endless sunny floors. Even in his dreams, Boy was doing nothing and loving it. As evening arrived, the lights softened, turning golden and then pale orange. Boy opened his eyes and sat up, sensing the change. His human closed the laptop and stretched, the workday ending at last. This, Boy thought, was the best moment of the day, not because something exciting was about to happen, but because togetherness was about to increase. They sat on the floor together. Boy leaned against his human's leg, his body warm and solid. His human absent-mindedly stroked his back, and Boy's tail thumped gently against the floor. Outside, the world continued its noise, But inside, everything felt calm. Dinner was simple. A quiet walk followed, not far, just enough to feel the cool air and see the familiar streetlights turn on. Boy walked slowly, stopping often to sniff. His human didn't rush him. This mutual understanding, this shared pace, was one of the invisible threads that tied them together. When they returned home, Boy curled up near his human once more. His eyes grew heavy, but before falling asleep, he looked up, as if to say thank you. Thank you for the food, the patience, the quiet. Thank you for a day where nothing special happened, yet everything felt right. Boy's day of doing nothing was, in truth, a day full of meaning. In our modern lives, we often believe that value comes only from productivity, speed, and achievement. Boy gently reminds us that this is not always true. Animals, especially those who live beside us, teach us how to slow down and truly be present. A dog does not care how many tasks you completed today. He cares that you were there, that you noticed him, that you shared space and time with kindness. From Boy, we can learn to respect rest, to appreciate simple routines, and to understand that love is often quiet. Building a healthy relationship between humans and animals requires patience, empathy, and attention. When we allow ourselves to move at their pace sometimes, we become calmer, more compassionate people. In caring for animals, we learn how to care for ourselves and for each other more gently.